Hello, everyone, and welcome to C. Thomas Talks. Today, I want to talk about something that's been going on for let me rephrase that. It's been going on for a long time, but it's just been brought to the news over here in America, right about maybe 2 weeks ago. Um, there was footage of an actual slave auction in Libya. For those who don't know, Libya is in Africa, northern Africa. It's what is it? West of Egypt. Then you have Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. It's in northern Africa, North Africa. And people who are familiar, the people familiar with Libya being with a former leader, Muammar Gaddafi. He was killed. He was the leader of the country of Libya, killed. But there was footage brought up from an actual slave auction. What I mean by slave auction is, if you remember those scenes from those old American movies about old American slave movies, how they had people on auction blocks and all that stuff, and people were bidding for them and putting their hands and bidding on them and all that stuff. Well, this was an actual slave auction in Libya, and it was when it hit the internet, it went viral, of course, and it was widespread uproar about this going on because I think people believed that when you think of slavery, you always think of the transatlantic slave trade. 400 plus years ago, with Europe taking African slaves from West Africa over to the quote unquote New World, Brazil, the Caribbean, United States, so forth, so on. But people forget, or people don't even know about the slave trade that went on before the transatlantic slave trade. There was such thing called a sub-Saharan slave trade that lasted longer than the transatlantic slave trade, and it was due to Muslim rule in parts of Africa, and this is a modern day slavery. Now, people think that, well, people especially here, people here in the United States, we know about the Emancipation Proclamation and 1865 and Abraham Lincoln. We know about that. We know about that, and we know about the true history of that, the Emancipation Proclamation. And what caught my attention, other than the actual story, was the people's response. The people response here, that what happened over in the slave, what's going on there in that particular slave trade. People, a lot of people think that slavery was abolished. No, there are many countries in the world where slavery still exists and it is still prevalent. Okay, we know about the slavery over here, but people forget about the slavery that took place, or is taking place in Africa as we speak. And this brought something in my head, and it made me think about it. For many years, people, Africans that were kidnapped and brought over here, and the descendants, i.e., the African Americans, were the descendants of the Africans that were kidnapped and taken brought over here. Many of us were upset with the Africans that didn't come over to come and get us. I know it sounds crazy, but I've heard this before. People say, well, the Africans over there don't even think that we over here are related. Like there's some kind of kinship, that they treat us different. That was the big stereotype. There was the big stigma going on about people, the Africans here and the Africans from the continent of Africa. But what a lot of people don't understand, or what they fail to understand, is while we had our slavery in the Americas here, people thought that, because we were taken and brought over here, that there was no slavery over there. No, 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 no. There was slavery here in America, and there was slavery in Africa going on at the same time. How do we know this? Well, one, the most recent one is this. This is actually like this is a story about an actual. They actually have footage, but I don't know if they let me show the footage. But there's actual footage of a slave auction going on in Libya today as we speak. So for people who thought that slavery didn't happen in Africa, you have your footage here. The thing is, this is not new. This form of slavery has been going on for hundreds of years, the same time that it was going on for us over here in America. So when people say, well, the Africans over there ain't coming to get us, well, that's actually because while we were being abused over here, the Africans in the continent were also being abused by the Dutch, by the French, by the British, by Arab countries, because Egypt is an Arab country now. Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, those are Arab-speaking countries in Africa. So that always tells you. I did a video about this a while ago. You can tell what happened to a people by the language that they speak. Because if you're an African country speaking French, that should tell you that something happened. Okay? Something happened where an African country is speaking in a language other than its native language. That should tell you. The same way how if you go to the West Indies, Jamaica, the people that are of African descent speak English. That should tell you something happened. Dominican Republic speak Spanish. That should tell you what happened. Haiti speak French. That should tell you what happened. Even the United States, Florida, Spanish. Texas, all of the whole West Coast was once Mexico. But now they're broken up and they speak Spanish. Spanish comes from Spain. Okay? Arabic comes from the Middle East, Arabia. Arabic, Arabia. Spanish, Spain. England, English. French, France. You see? Okay, so if you have this footage tells you that slavery is still going on. The kind of slavery that we read about in the history books, we open the books and we read about the slavery going on here, about people getting their backs whipped and they being on the auction block and sold off from here and there and there. People thought that it just happened over here. No. This isn't ancient history. This isn't 500 years ago, 400 years ago. This is still happening today. In different kinds of slavery. We have sex slaves. Well, I did a story about a sex slave. Sex slavery. They're different forms of slavery. Got sex slavery. Got what they call it chattel slavery. The kind of slavery that we are familiar with over here in this country. These things are still going on. Slavery may have been abolished, quote unquote, abolished in the United States, but across the world, there are many countries that are still practicing the type of slavery that you and I read about in the history books in this country. Okay? So, this is a violation of human rights. And I'm curious as to, I have a couple of questions in my mind. First question. When Muammar Gaddafi was alive and he was the head or the president of Libya, was this going on? And if it was going on, how long has it been going on under his leadership? And was there footage? My next question is, how old is this footage? Like, is this footage of a recent slave auction? Like, that just happened this year? Or is this footage years old? I just asked that question. Other question is, has this been known by other countries prior to this footage getting out? I want to know that. I want to know Did other countries, did the United Nations know about this information or know about this going on prior to this footage coming out? Because as far as I know, this footage looks new. It looks like it's recent. It looks like it's recent. It could be old. With digital technology, it could be improved. But this footage looks recent. It looks new to me. These I see all men here. I'm looking at all men. These young men, they look young. They like about their 20s, maybe like late teens, early to mid 20s. That's from what I'm seeing, which was pretty much the average age of an African that was being traded during the transatlantic slave trade when they were brought here. It was they like about the same age, about late like 18, 19 on to 24, 25. Like I'm looking at there's a line, there's a still of a line of young men. They look young. They're in their late teens, early to mid 20s, some 30s. I'm seeing some 30s, and they're all complected men. They're all dark complected men, and this is not new because during the Arab slave trade over 1,000 years ago, the same thing was going on. Now I don't know if they're gonna be doing the same thing because men back then were getting castrated. I don't know if that's going on now, but question is, and what are they being sold for? Because you can be a slave and sold for different reasons. You get sold to work. You can be sold to breed. Like in America, they had slave breeding farms where they actually would sell slaves to other plantations for the purpose of breeding more slaves. Like that really happened during the transatlantic slave trade in America. So if it happened here in America, most likely it's happening in places like Libya. So what were they being traded for? And also, how many people have been traded so far? How many people have been sold prior to this footage getting out? Because I don't know how old this footage is, but how often? How many people were traded? Like all men. I see all men. I don't see children. I don't see women. I see all men. So I don't know what they're being sold for or where they're going to, because also where they're going. Now, this is footage in Libya. Okay, this footage in Libya. Are they leaving Libya? Are they coming to Libya? So where are they coming from and where are they going? That way you can find the source of the people who are taking these people as slaves. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from Libya? Are they coming to Libya? If they're coming to Libya, that means they're coming from somewhere else. So where else are they? Where are they coming from? And who in that particular location took these men as slaves and sold them to Libya? Or the people, these could be Libyans. Were they sold from Libya to somewhere else? And who sold them? Who took them, enslaved them, and sold them? See, there's a lot of questions about this. And like I said, how long has this been known? Did the UN know about this? Like, how many times has there been a UN conference and Libya or Egypt or Tunisia or Algeria or Morocco or Western Sahara or Mauritania, Mali, all these places, did any of these other countries know about this? Did Chad know about it? Did Sudan know about it? Did Saudi Arabia know about it? Did Algeria know about it? Did Tunisia know about it? Did Morocco know about it? Who else knew about this? Did Niger, did Mali, did Mauritania, did Western Sahara, did, like, who else knew about this? Did Ethiopia, did Eritrea, did they, who else knew about this? Like, now that we know that, because the information of slavery still going on, and people being sold as slaves in Africa today is not new. We knew about this for a while. We may not had any footage. I believe we had footage for quite some time, but why now? Out of all the years of even that people have known about Africans still being sold as slaves in Africa and out of Africa, this is not new information. And there's footage of children who were taken as slaves and have their limbs chopped off and all that stuff. Child soldiers. I don't remember social media being in such an uproar about those things as I do now. Because when this came out, this was everywhere. Everywhere. Celebrities talking about it, it's all over the news. Why this great uproar when I'm pretty sure we've already known about this for years? Like this, I'm sure this has been going on for quite some time. I'm pretty sure the UN had some has some hint of this going on. Why all of a sudden the uproar with social media? I mean, we knew about child soldiers for quite some time. We know about sex slavery and the female castration. That's been going on for a while. Female castration, child soldiers, where the children were abducted and taken as soldiers, and we knew about blood diamonds. Kanye West made a song about blood diamonds, where it's called blood diamonds because people would be mutilated in the pursuit of finding diamonds for other corporations. That's a form of slavery. The same slavery how we talk about how people would pick cotton and tobacco or sugar cane, they would be whipped and beaten and all that stuff and castrated. That happened. That's happening in Africa with blood diamonds and this slave. Like, oh, are these Libyan slaves gonna be digging for blood diamonds? Who? Where are they going? Or where are they coming from? Who sold them? Who sold them? Because you can't have something like this in other countries not know about it. Because I'm thinking, okay, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco are now they're countries in Africa, but they're ruled by Arab. Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, the major language is now Arabic. Okay? The official language there is Arabic. So does Saudi Arabia know about it? Does Saudi Arabia know about it? Something, okay, let's take a country like what's I know you speak a little French in Morocco too, so what about a French speaking country? If something were to happen in that particular, I think it was Togo or Congo, if one of those countries who spoke French in Africa had this going on, did France know about it? Because if 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 there was slavery going on in Jamaica during the 1800s and 1700s in places like Haiti, Haiti was a French colony. I know France knew about it. I know if there was a fight going on in Haiti, France knew about it. I know that. If there was a fight going on in the colony of Virginia or Pennsylvania, I know Great Britain knew about it. If there was a fight going on in Jamaica, I know Great Britain knew about it. Panama, I know Spain knew about it. Florida, Spain knew about it. Texas, Spain knew about it. I know they did. I know that. So if if Northern Africa is now an Arabized, if these are Arab colonial countries now, because they call it because that's Sahara. Now they got Western Sahara and they got Sub-Sahara. Sub-Sahara is anything below Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. That's considered sub-Sahara. I don't know why. It's all Africa, but that's not a here nor there. If those are Arab countries now, and this went on in an Arab country, Libya, what other countries know about this? And did they keep it under wraps? Or did somebody blow the whistle? Like, something like that. Like, if this footage coming out now is shocking to many people on social media, except for those in the know, people who actually know about what's going on. They're not shocked. They know about this already. They probably reported it, but no one said anything. But now it's creating an uproar. And what's this going on when Muammar Gaddafi was alive? What's this going on when Muammar Gaddafi was alive? Because for the time I've been alive, I know of Muammar Gaddafi. I never heard of this. Granted, that was the time to do social media, but what's this going on when he was alive? So what's happening? I got some questions because for like I said, he was killed. He was the leader of Libya. He was killed. Dragged through the streets, beaten, killed. They did him crazy. They did him dirty. They killed him in the street, all that stuff. So was this going on when he was alive, or did this happen? Did this happen after he died? Was it going on and no one said anything when he was alive, or did this just start to happen in Libya after he died? You know, I just got some questions. I just got some questions. I got some questions. I want to know. I want to know. I just want to know. And and you have now the blame going towards President Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton because Gaddafi was killed during President Obama's his presidency. And when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, this this happened. The leader of Libya died during Obama's presidency. Okay, so what will happen now? Now that Donald Trump is president, what will he do with this? Will he do anything with this? Will he just leave it be? What will President Obama? I mean, not President Obama. Will President Donald Trump step in and do something about this? What about the UN? What will the United Nations do? Who who will step in and do something about this? Now people say, well, I'm talking about stuff that's happening all over the world. I'm a person of the world, so I'm talking about things happening all over the world, in America and around other countries around the world. What will the UN do? What will they do now? Will Donald Trump step in like Obama stepped in? Because Gaddafi was the leader of Libya, not Obama. But Obama stepped in, so what will happen? Is this the reason why? Is things like this, the slave trade thing, is things like this the reason why Obama had Gaddafi killed? Or I shouldn't say had him killed, but is this the reason why Gaddafi was killed? Is stuff like this the reason why Gaddafi was killed? Who knows? But this is this is surprising, but not really, because I know and others know that my lens, the lens through which I see things is not just based in this country. I know there are a lot of other things happening outside of the borders of the United States. I know this. I know there's more going on outside of this country than what's happening with Donald Trump and all that stuff. Donald Trump versus LeVar Ball and all that. There are other things happening to people outside of this country, and there's news all over the place. There's news all over the world. There are things happening all over the world that we thought. I mean, I guess people thought because slavery was abolished here that it was abolished everywhere else in the world. No. No, 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 no. Just because something happens here in this country does not mean, or just does not mean it's not happening somewhere else. Just because slavery was abolished in 1865 in this country does not mean that other countries adhere to the same things. There are still countries who deal with slavery, sex slavery, child slavery. I mean, we have sex slaves here. That, like I said, I did a video about a sex slave who killed her oppressor and is serving life in this country today. So slavery isn't just about a whip to the back and putting you in chains. No, 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 no. That's a form of slavery. That's a kind of slavery. There's different kinds of slavery. That's just one kind. There's other kinds, other forms of slavery, and that are still going on to this very day. In this country and outside of this country, to this very day, there's still slavery going on. The slavery that you read about in the history books of America with the whipping of the backs and the chains, that still goes on to this day in other countries. And it might go on in this country. So keep eyes open, be aware of what's happening in the world, because usually, you can see how things move and how they go when you follow the patterns of certain countries, this country and other countries. You can see what's happening and see where things are being led and see where things are being directed and moved and like that. Just follow the patterns. Look at the patterns of other countries, other leaders. Do we have something to do with that? Are we a part of that? Are we not a part of that? Or will we be a part of that? Things like that. Pay attention to what's happening, because I know people will probably say, well, it's happening over there. They ain't got nothing to do with over here. When it comes to politics and things like this, it's never that simple. Just because there's a slave trade going on in Africa does not mean that we as Americans don't know about it, or other countries don't know about it, though there's no other hand in it. It's never that. When it comes to politics, and slavery is a part of politics, don't make no mistake, it's economics and politics. That's basically what slavery ties down to. Economics and politics. Okay? Don't let nobody fool you about that. Slavery then and slavery now is about economics and politics and how to maneuver them. Okay? So be aware of that. Look, don't just look at your life in this country. You can see how your life is affected financially and economically or politically from what happens in other countries. People talk about oil and all that stuff, like, oil is over there and all that stuff, and how we buy oil and all that. The oil in other countries that we want to buy and all that stuff has something to do with the prices of gas, of other petroleum, oil, everything that we use oil. It has an effect. What about the food that we eat? Can come from other countries. Inflation. That affects all of us. It don't just affect that country. When it comes to food, clothing, resources, natural resources, all that stuff, gold, diamonds, all that stuff, palladium, platinum, the stuff that's in your cell phone or in your laptop or in your desktop computer, in your car. A lot of those materials come from other countries. They come from other countries. It's all about business. Slavery is about business. Slavery in all forms is about business, economic and political. So rest assured that there is some economic and political ties with this story of Libyan slave auction. I promise you that there's some economic and political ties with this. That's how it's always been when it comes to slavery. There's always been some kind of economic and political ties with this. Always. So, you know, things are happening. I don't know what. I don't know what. I just know from my reading and my studying of past events of history from far back, you can see the commonalities. You can see that not much has changed. It's just the technology has gotten greater, but the basis of it is still the same. It's still the same MO. So the same main objective, still most operandi, still the same. So be aware of that. All right. Thank you very much for listening to the video. Leave a comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hit the little bell for the notification. I'll catch you all later. Peace.